Welcome to the VinnyRoc Podcast.
I took the blows and did it my way.
It's time. The VinnyRoc Podcast.
The VinnyRoc Podcast would like to thank the following sponsors. Core Medical Group. Core Medical Group distinguishes itself as a prominent entity in the healthcare sector, specializing in offering innovative hormone replacement therapy solutions, which stand as a testament to their commitment to advancing healthcare. Core Medical Group values building enduring relationships and ensuring that each interaction is tailored to meet the specific needs of the professionals and institutions they serve. Learn more now at coremedicalgrp.com. GMR Gold. The Bullion Box by GMR Gold stands as the pioneering offering in the precious metals industry, being the first ever monthly subscription service for precious metals. It manifests as a seamless and innovative solution for those keen on diversifying their investment portfolios with precious metals, making the acquisition of gold, silver, platinum, and palladium uncomplicated and straightforward. To learn more and subscribe to Bullion Box, go to gmrgold.com. Everest.com. Everest stands as the paramount independent outdoor marketplace founded by individuals with a relentless passion for the great outdoors. They are driven by a singular mission: to provision goods for every facet of the untamed and boundless wild, be it hunting, fishing, hiking, camping, survival, and more. So step up, immerse yourself in the diverse tapestry of outdoor life, and let Everest be your guide to transcending the ordinary and embracing the extraordinary in the world outside at Everest.com. Modern Gun School. Modern Gun School provides a tailored learning experience allowing you to study on your terms whenever and wherever it's most convenient for you. Their flexible open enrollment policy means you can kickstart your education for a career as a modern gunsmith immediately. Modern Gun School proudly accepts the GI benefit and vocational rehab, emphasizing their commitment to supporting veterans and individuals undergoing vocational rehabilitation. Embark on a journey of discovery and skill enhancement with their accredited program and carve your niche in gunsmithing with Modern Gun School today. To learn more and enroll, go to mgs.edu. Stay Classy Meats. Stay Classy Meats is deeply rooted in a reverence for time-honored traditions and enduring values, working hand in hand with farmers and ranchers who share a mutual respect for these principles. Stay Classy Meats is not just a brand. It's a movement towards real food, a commitment to quality, and a journey to share a piece of Montana's unparalleled meat quality with the world. To place your order, visit stayclassymeats.com.
Hey, welcome to the VinnyRoc Podcast. Got my boy Flo here. We're just gonna do what we do. Yeah, we moved here, and obviously I'm a Dodger fan. Just who I am. But for our anniversary, I said, "Babe, let's go to a game." We like going to baseball games, and we ended up heading to Texas Ranger game and fell in love. Air conditioning, indoor.
Yeah,
it's almost like so spoiled. How the fuck do you go anywhere else?
The food too, all the
everything.
Pretty cool.
Everything. And so we were so comfortable that we were like, man, it's a cool team. So I bought a jersey because I'm gonna keep supporting. We live here now. This is home, right? It's how you commit. You buy a jersey.
You better stay here.
I'm not going nowhere. Yeah, we're gonna build eventually, but yeah, we're in the area. There's a couple places probably we like the Prosper. And
I was about to say, you're building a Prosper. I could see you building a Prosper. It's the next Frisco.
Yeah, and then the other place is Salina. Yeah.
So Dak Prescott's a huge guy.
Is he out there?
I think he has a spot in Salina.
We like the land space of that.
You're probably going to get more for your money in Salina than you will in Prosper right now.
I could use
just because it's a little bit, more north, but whatever it is. But it's everything is just, they're running out of, real estate here in Frisco.
Yeah, and we donate. We had 3 horses. They weren't they're not like prize-winning horses by any means. We actually rescued them. We had them for about 3 years, and then we just recently donated them to another veteran nonprofit who will be using those for equestrian therapy for veterans. But we only did that because it didn't make sense financially to keep it here. We're still trying to figure out what's going on. The writing strike, the acting strike, no money's coming in. And so just for the sake of being smart, let's just donate them. By chance, they're going to be coming back out here sometime.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the whole organization is moving down to Dallas. So we're like, oh, cool. Maybe we'll get our horses back or something, or at least we'll get to work with them again. But looking at the land we want and what we want to kind of do for the family is like space. And so Salina might be
Oh yeah.
the choice. I think everyone interviews veterans a lot, and I think a lot of guys have very similar stories. But and not that it's bad. I think we have a lot of friends in the industry that do a lot of podcasting, and there's a lot of veteran awesome stories out there to be told already, and to change on that. I didn't want to do the same. I don't want to like
Yeah.
Mike has a guy, I have a guy, all of us have the same guy. And so if I do have some of my friends on here, I plan to kind of move the conversation slightly different than often we get. Like,
Yeah.
tell us about this and that. But I don't think it'd be fair if we don't at least start with one, introducing who you are. And then I would love to talk about the mission where you received your Medal of Honor. And I want to explain to you, I'm also very cautious about, I'm sure it's frustrating, or maybe it's not. I don't know how you view it, but telling your story every single time you get interviewed, I'm sure that gets exhausting, and it gets to a point. I don't know how you feel about that.
I feel like, to me, it is not, it's not exhausting because I get to say the names of the guys who
Right.
come home. So that's, no matter what, that's a positive outcome
Right.
every time. And you get to share their names with new people,
Right.
and a different audience. It is, I wouldn't say frustrating. It is interesting to always just retell that story.
Yeah.
And so I like it when people who bring me on or set up a conversation that, and obviously my whole story, they have a little background on it, so
Yeah.
that I don't have to just go detail by detail.
Yeah.
Because it's just, then I feel like we just wasted
Right.
like 15, 20 minutes of a conversation that people can go read instead of going to maybe the psychology behind a decision, right?
Right,
Maybe
right.
more of like an intimate, story about the people, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, my story is simple. I wrote a book called 8 Seconds of Courage, literally, because the whole action lasted
bought it for my son.
it lasted a couple minutes. But we're in Eastern Afghanistan in 2012. I was running a specialized security detail for Colonel Mingus, who's not going to be the vice chief for the Army.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I'm crazy. And it was simple patrol, right?
Yeah.
Go to a governor provincial's meeting. It happens every Wednesday. I mean, it's literally next to a national police base.
Right.
It's in a city that's been green as it gets in Afghanistan, meaning like really not much happens in terms of enemy contact there.
Aren't we doing a lot of training with law enforcement at the time, helping kind of establish law enforcement and
Yeah, I mean the Afghan dude. Reality though is you only get what you get from the type of people that we train, and
Right.
so we had SFAT teams, special advisor teams there.
Yeah.
Literally from 101st, they sent a couple hundred special advisors to work with the Afghan National Police, Afghan National Army to train them. And so, but I have a video so I have a YouTube page that I don't do anything YouTube. This is, I put 5 videos from 10 years ago, and they're all from the same time in Afghanistan. And one of them is us trying to train the Afghan National Army how to position themselves, with their rifle. And you now will get a complete understanding, this for a fact, of why it's an impossibility to train those folks and why they probably folded as fast as they did.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you can pump millions of dollars, hundreds of hours of training. It's just, unless you're really truly committed, and then this is life or death for you, I think these guys mostly saw us as a way of life and make money. Like, it's just, and I think they always knew that no matter what, once we left, things would go back to a very specific way. But part of me feels like they never thought we would leave.
Interesting.
And that's why they just kind of coasted.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to put it. No country, hell, we're going like a complete different direction. No country should be able to fold to the Taliban, right? No army should be able to fold to the Taliban as fast as they did with that much training.
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion.
No, that's another conversation. Absolutely. No, but for sure, I want to touch on that later.
So going back, yeah. So we were going to this provincial governor's meeting, happened every Wednesday. It was a really secure area, and there was always a threat in Afghanistan, suicide bombers, potential whatever, especially in the eastern part of Kunar. And on that day, the night before, actually, I called the the leader, the officer in charge of this combat outpost, FIAS, right? And so it's right next to the governor's compound, small. And he was one of those special advisors guy, not an infantryman.
Yeah.
Right. Just different MOS, but selected to lead this group of folks who were training our, local Afghans. And I called him. I said, hey, I'm coming in tomorrow with my brigade commander, your brigade commander, 3 more battalion commanders, an Afghan general, 2 GS-15 State Department guys, 1 USAID, 2 command sergeant major, 1 brigade, 1 battalion level, plus my 6 security. Our plan is to SP is 0910, land at 0925, and then walk to the governor's compound. So I need an escort, 15 soldiers minimum. Yeah. Standard protocol, always happened that way. He's a major, right? So he's not like he's high up. And he's like, nah, I'm going to walk the route 15 minutes prior. And so we'll clear it for you. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I just didn't even think this was a topic conversation at all. I didn't even think this was an option, right? Him saying that. There's no no, right? I'm bringing your boss and your boss's boss. So I'm, to you. Yeah. You serve in the military. That is the only time, especially in theater, when like you go find the best fucking uniform you have and maybe shave for the first time in weeks. Right. So because the brigade commander's showing up, so you want to look like a part. Yeah. For the 5 seconds he walks by you and says, "Thank you for your service. Well done." And then he walks away and you're like, "All right, let's go back to our normal day life." But no, he said no. So I put him on mute. I had the adjutant next to me for the brigade commander. And I said to him, watch, I'm going to tell this guy, I'm going to repeat my request. He's going to tell me to fuck off. So I unmuted him, repeated my request. And he literally said, "Look, Lieutenant," and I was pretty pissed off because the captain at the time. He said, "Look, Lieutenant, don't take your boss's rank. I'm fucking clearing the route. I don't have anybody else to give you." And he hung up. So I thought to myself, no human being as a major who's deployed and has any type of responsibility can be that dumb. Yeah. He's probably having a bad day. He's going to think about this, after he hangs up, and he's going to realize, oh, I might want to be there when my boss and my boss's boss show up to walk with them. Maybe I can give them a lay of the land. What's been happening? What should we, expect from the conversation with the governor, right? That is your area of operation. You might want to receive the boss instead of walking away. Well, when we landed, he was gone. He took everyone with him. Oh, shit. When you get in a spot in your life, and then you be military, you could be civilian, you be first responder, it could be a doctor. It's like showing up to an operating room as a doctor, right? Yeah. And you're supposed to do a heart transplant, and someone takes your tools away. And you're kind of like, and this person's dying. Yeah. And you have X amount of time to save this person, and there's none of your tools to operate on this person. The tools that were supposed to be there because the night shift was supposed to put them together, get them sanitized, whatever. Yeah. None of them are there. So you start. So what you have a couple options, right? In the military, we adapt to every situation. Yeah. So the first thing in my head was, what the fuck? I'm freaking out in my head. Externally, I'm looking. I'm kind of like, okay. My platoon sergeant comes up to me and he says, "What's going on?" And I looked at him. I said, "The guy really took off with all the soldiers. He knew what was." I talked to him about that. He's like, "I can't believe this." He's like, "What do you want to do?" So I said, "You see those Afghan National Army guys up there? There's 15 of them smoking cigarettes by the gate. Take the Terp, our translator, go up to them and bring them. Tell them to get their weapons. They're coming with us, but put them up front because I don't trust them." Yeah. And then have them spread out. My thinking process at that point was, I got to find any type of human bodies. Yeah. Yeah. And then put them on that patrol because I just want to appear bigger. Right. So then while he did this, I sprinted inside the base. It's a small base, thank goodness. And then you go to the 3 places, there's technically 4, where you're going to find soldiers. Right. One, the hoochies, right? Where are they sleeping? Right. I found one, Sergeant O'Brien. Still pissed off at me to this day because he lost half a butt cheek. I went to Chow Hall, right? Yeah. Cafeteria. No one's there. And then, of course, your place of business, the gym, right? Yeah. And no one was there. I missed one place, the shitters, right? Which I just, there's one of them hanging out over there, fucking have a dip in and sticking his long, sweet shit in there. But, and then I found like some civilian dude, KKR or KBR, were those guys. Yeah, KBR. And I said, "You're American?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You got a weapon?" He's like, "I'll find one." I was like, "You're coming with me." I don't know. To this day, I've never been in trouble with this. And I keep telling this story. Maybe someone's gonna come back and yell at me one day, but like,
you know who he is?
No clue. He's fine, but he didn't get.
Yeah, but after that day, you've never stayed in contact with him at all.
No, I think
he's never reached out.
I never like really like for the first few years. No, he never reached out, and for a couple of years, I just avoided that conversation because I don't know if it was like we're allowed to bring. You know. Anyway, he came. He lived, and then we went on patrol. The boss kind of looked at me like, "What the fuck's going on?" But he trusts me, right?
Yeah.
And so as we walked outside the base, the way it operated was every time the boss left the base and we're, now in enemy country, I would put him inside of a diamond. So I'd have a guy, at the spear, left, right, and
so
rear.
kind of like a 360 security on the individual.
Straight up,
right?
What you call it, Secret Service style.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason you do this is you put him in there, him, the principal. And then you have your external security force. Mm-hmm. So you get hit, something happens, they fight the threat, you collapse on the principal, and then you take him or her away to safety, away from the threat.
Good.
So now I don't have that external force. So I had the Afghan National Army. I put him up front because I didn't know him.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna do a green on blue and shoot me, like I'm gonna see you turn around. Right. I'm gonna pop you first. So I felt comfortable with that. And I started putting the brigade commanders in there, the battalion commanders in there, and there's 4 of us, and there's like, now we're outnumbered by principals. So I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work. And I asked Sergeant Major Griffin, hey, you want to get in there? He's like, fuck no. Look at this bunch of you officers over there. Like you got more, more to bite than you can handle, brother. And so he's like, I'm gonna do our rear security. And I immediately I was so thankful. Yeah. He's like, I got 22 years as an infantryman. I got our rear.
Yeah.
All right. I felt really comfortable. Having him, cover my rear. I was like, all right, I feel really good. Now I can really focus on the front. And then we walked. And 700 meters into the movement, right as we're crossing the bridge, TTPs, right, for the enemy. They came out of some motorcycles from the front. So there was a curve and to really create a diversion.
Yeah.
And as they created this diversion, guy walked out of it. The only, the last house that was right before the bridge on the left with a vest. Mm-hmm. I didn't know he had a vest initially. My platoon sergeant turned around to look at me, based on the motorcycles. And as he was trying to look at me, he started staring to my left, which forced me to look to my left.
Yeah.
And that's when I saw that guy. And right there, you just, just shit just develops, right? Rapidly. Yeah. And so I immediately stop myself from looking forward and focused on him. And then he made a move and started walking towards us really fast. And that's when I ran towards him and I yelled at him. He never looked at me. It was the creepiest thing. If I was an artist, I could paint him. I could paint his face, but I just can't. I'm not an artist.
But still to this day, I burned in your head.
100%. It's like watching the devil, right? Mm-hmm. But it's sadder than that because he couldn't have been more than 20 years old. Mm. Maybe could have been 16. Could have been 22, right?
Right. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, right? Out there, it's a little interesting age. Look,
and he had this fierce look, but you could see the fear in him. Mm-hmm. Because what he did is he had a vest and he deadman triggered it, so he was committed.
Yeah.
So and he never looked at me, and I'm 95% sure, not a doctor, but he was drugged.
Yeah.
Right. Those guys take those drugs because they're scared.
Yeah, it's courage.
And he. I never felt fear from him. Like he didn't make me scared. I just wanted to fucking kill him. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see a weapon on him.
Yeah.
And so he had those man jams, long man jams and then he had one of my platoon sergeants said he had a fake hand. I didn't see that specifically, but I just know his hands were covered. So I ran towards him. I hit him. When I hit him, I realized he was wearing.
How'd you hit him with a punch?
So I took my rifle. I hit him with the butt of my rifle.
Yeah, dude, fucking straight fucking bam.
Yeah.
What's that course? The bayonet course, dog.
Bro, and luckily for me, I didn't hit him in the face with it.
Yeah.
I hit him in the chest. He was about my height.
Yeah.
And because if I would have hit him in the face, I think I would be dead. To be honest with you.
You think it would have knocked him out? He would have let go of the trigger.
You're right.
Yeah.
And so I hit him, and it kind of flung him back a little bit. And at that point when I hit him and I knew he was wearing
you felt
a plate or whatever it was, I was like, fuck. So I immediately let go of my rifle and it was, slung to my kit and I grabbed him by the vest.
Yeah.
So now I'm holding a suicide vest.
Jesus, bro.
And all I can think about is just, I got to tell the boys the situation. I'm like, bomb, 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 bomb. And so I start pushing him away, and I threw him as far as I could. And when he landed, he detonated.
Yeah.
And so I think the reason, it's speculation based upon, there's no facts, but there are facts, but I just don't know those facts. I think he was drugged. I think he was scared. I think when I hit him, he must have been just clinching.
Yeah, even tighter.
Right. And then finally, when the impact of the ground is when he let go, and that's when I saw something come out of his hand. That's the last thing I remember before it went black. And so,
what was the rest of the patrol? What was happening at this time?
So at that point, some crazy things were happening. One part of the group was focusing just because they were focusing towards the motorcycles.
Right.
I think everyone else that was my location behind me saw me run towards the bomber. And I think you kind of it just happened so fast.
Yeah, everyone's just kind of like, what the fuck's going on?
It's crazy part. This is the craziest part of this whole thing. Mingus, the main principal that I'm protecting, that day, when we left that wire, I was always at the rear of the diamond because I always wanted the responsibility to grab him and put him to the ground.
Right.
Well, that day, just because everything was just so off and it felt, spidey senses are kicking in.
Yeah.
I can't believe that guy left. I looked at O-Chart, one of my PFCs, and I said, "You're taking my spot. I'm going to be at the front now at this, at the spear of this diamond because I want better visibility. And I really want to look at the Afghans, to be honest with you. If you see me go one direction for whatever reason, you grab the boss and you go the opposite direction." I don't know why I told him that. It's not like I was predicting a suicide bombing. I don't know. I just told him that.
It's good instinct.
It's just instincts.
It's great instinct.
It's combat instincts.
Right.
So when I started running towards that guy, O-Chart grabbed Mingus and started going.
Fuck up, bro.
And Mingus, no, this is the crazy part. And he grabbed him and started dragging him to the right away from him. Blast happened. The other brigade commander, at the time, Colonel Walrath, and he retired as a Major General Walrath, he didn't have someone like O-Chart pick him up.
Yeah.
He ended up at a hospital with me, chewed up, right, from the blast. So O-Chart really, technically, and factually saved Mingus's life.
He did exactly what he was ordered.
That 22-year-old PFC, 21-year-old, fucking awesome dude, followed the orders. It did exactly what, he was supposed to do. So it's absolutely fascinating, right? That you have these type of there's so many different stories. And you had the story about my platoon sergeant. As soon as the blast happens, he cordons the entire area, right? With him and C-Corps.
Yeah.
Just to make sure, because we had to do triage.
Yeah, there's
how many lost 4.
Right, 4 injured, right?
And we had 20 plus
injured.
Casevac and medevac out of the country after that, right? It was pretty serious.
Yeah.
And then you have my medic, torn ACL, PCL, MCL, pretty severe TBI, trying to save lives, triaging, and then save my life by applying a tourniquet and keeping me awake, right?
Yeah.
You have my Terp that's here in Fort Worth, who's all messed up, right? Following my medic and helping, treat the wounded. You have C-Corps, right, with O-Chart. You have Mahoney, my RTO, followed me.
Yeah, he went with you during that.
He went with me.
So he's right next to the blast.
Yeah, so when I threw the guy, he tried to go in there and trying to help push him down, right? He got so start for that. He's chewed up with his arm, right?
Yeah.
So you have so many cool stories. Not cool. I mean, I said cool is not the right word. There's so many important stories, right? I don't want to say heroic because I think we use that word hero. We overuse it and it loses its value or meaning. But you have so many stories now of these guys who just did their job to the best of their abilities against some really difficult odds.
Yeah.
And that's just a day of work.
Yeah, it's I've always been fascinated and impressed with the young age of these soldiers who go overseas and do some fucking incredible shit. You know what I mean? Like my when one of my boys, my platoon sergeant and team leader were killed, I was in rear D because of an injury from Ranger School. They were like 25, right? This 25-year-old dude who was the senior platoon, squad leader of the battalion, who had something like 6 deployments already at 25 years old, dude. Look at the average 25-year-old nowadays who's never been to combat, who's just a kid like out of college. You couldn't even imagine those guys taking the fight to the enemy and being able to manage a fucking platoon as well as or squad and being able to, kill or capture fucking high value targets as well as orchestrate the fucking a raid. Like, it's insane what a 24-year-old kid can do.
Let me challenge you on that.
Yeah.
This is because we can go into so many different topics. That's why I love the military so much. Yeah. Only organization in the world, the United States military, no other country in the world does it the way we do it. You can be white, black, gay, straight, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. You could have a GED.
Yeah.
You could have a master's degree. You could be from France, Zimbabwe. You could be from Utah, Texas, wherever it is. You could be rich. You could be poor. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. When we walk into whatever base that we get to start, whatever maps, right? And then they send you to your basic training, your officer candidate school, or whatever else, your first assignment. They break you down, and they redesign you to be part of the team.
Yeah,
they take all those thoughts, all those weaknesses, all those strengths that you had before, and then they apply them for you to become a soldier, a Marine, a Coast Guardsman, whatever it is, a SEAL, whatever you want to call yourself, right? It is the only organization where you can be completely different and more likely, and at times, hate the other person when you're a civilian, based upon their ideologies or skin color,
it doesn't matter,
whatever it is, background. And in a short 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 13 weeks, couple months, whatever it is, not only can you associate with this person, in essence, live in the same quarters,
right?
But you come to understand this person to a point where you start to work more effectively with this person, to a point where you start to like this person enough that you want to go to fight for him, enough that now you trust that they will have your back when no one's watching, enough that you're willing to die for them.
Love them. Love them.
And then, so I always talk about this. I went in with hate for Taliban. I mean, hate for Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit about Taliban, to be honest with you. But, I didn't like them when I got there. But hate for Al-Qaeda because they killed my uncle in 96.
Yeah.
Well, GIA did. And 9/11, right?
Mm-hmm.
To a clear, pure understanding of what true love is. Mm-hmm. Love of brotherhood and sisterhood.
Absolutely.
Individuals who are not of my blood, but man, I'm willing to day in, day out, night in, night out, put my life on the line for them.
There's something so gorgeous about combat that brings that out in us. And it's so hard to explain to someone. I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's something so gorgeous about it. It's like, it's the duality of combat is like, it is terrible. The shit, the collateral damage of it, the pain, the suffering that families go through. There's something so gorgeous for us in that moment that is so powerful that you can't describe it. The only way I can say is, I love that man so much, I'll fucking die for him.
Yeah. And that person, and that could be a person that in your prior life as a civilian, as that 25-year-old you just talked about,
right?
You would never go have a beer with them. Yeah. You're probably like, nope. Like, absolutely not.
That dude's a weirdo, bro. No, not me.
But that's the thing. Like, so when people, you know this, you're in the same circle that I'm in, man, and we have a lot of friends who talk about this. Some of your former friends, right? Like, I mean, not former friends, still friends, but people you used to work with. And there's this challenge of like wokeness. Yeah. Weakness. Yeah. Can we stop with this shit? Can we stop about? I mean, yeah, it's true. There's like some, people are very sensitive and things. But brother, go back to the 60s and 70s. I mean, what were we then? Right? There was a war in Vietnam, but I mean, like, what was the hippie movement? Is that not about peace and sex and smoking drugs and people had feelings and stuff? I mean, dude, it's not like wokeness just showed up. The beauty of this country is that you can have people act in a way that you disagree. But the thing about our U.S. military is, I don't care how woke you are. When I bring you into my military, especially in a time of war where we have to go back to what we need to go back to, where people's feelings really don't matter anymore because people are dying and there's an expectation. I don't care who you are, and as a civilian, that military program will redesign you, remanufacture you to be what you need to be at that time. And that's why I believe in this military. That's why I believe in our country.
In the country, right? That's the crazy. So, because of the book, I'm going around doing a bunch of podcasts.
Yeah.
And I think this is a fascinating topic with you as well, because it's interesting is that there's a lot of people in United States that despise United States, right? They demonize the United States as being this racist country, this, that. But it's the one country that you're allowed to question everything about it and not get your fucking head cut off. It's the craziest thing to me because so the hard thing that's happening right now with this crazy illegal immigration thing is like that illegal immigration, it's a way to circumvent the system that's legal, right? And circumventing that system, now you have a massive influx of illegal immigration. That's a problem. A lot of people don't like, you have two sides of this argument, right? Yeah. Close the border, as many people say, open the border, right? And so And so in that conversation, you have so many different people. But for me, some of the people who are immigrants to this country appreciate this country more than right. That's why the topic. Like, so they appreciate this country more because of what one they had before, but two, the belief of like, man, this country does provide opportunity. Outside of that, it's the people who are almost sitting in a position of privilege who can question and hate the country all you want. It's like, yeah, but dude, you've been spoon-fed this country your whole life. The lottery ticket of being born here has made you so absent-minded to the reality of what you have. It's tough. It's tough for me. I'd love to hear you speak on like why this country is this land of opportunity and still that beacon of light that people come to.
It is the only country that I know of where you can be an immigrant and work your butt off and get an opportunity. Keyword, an opportunity. Yeah. Not a guarantee.
Yeah.
An opportunity to be incredibly successful, more successful than anywhere else in the world. We came from France. We live, in a pretty ghetto place in France. I'm lucky enough that I was adopted. I was adopted by Larry, my dad. And, he brought us here in the United States, and my life immediately just changed right away from the streets of Paris, the ghetto of Paris, and to, suburbia a little bit, in town home, right? But
what age were you adopted?
So when my mom adopted me at birth, she's my aunt,
right,
but she's my mom. And then Larry officially adopted me when I was 17, officially. But I lived with him since I was. He was in my life since I was 4, and then I didn't live with him until I was 12. That makes sense. He was splitting time between U.S. and France and stuff. 11, 12. But yeah, he was the father figure that I grew up with. So that's the guy I called dad.
And you were saying that your uncle was killed by
So
Taliban or Al-Qaeda?
No, GIA. So GIA is the predecessor of Al-Qaeda. It's a group that was that came into North Africa to Algeria, where my mom's from.
Your mom's from Algeria.
Got it. And they tried to take over. They brought radical Islam, Sharia law, tried to overtook the government, false elections, whatever you want to call it. And then the army obviously stood up and fought them and beat them eventually. But my uncle was killed during a ceasefire to observe Ramadan in 1996. Yeah, he was shot, he was beheaded, dismembered, put in a box, and sent to my grandfather.
Are you kidding me?
No, dude, it's absolutely ridiculous.
During the ceasefire of Ramadan, and during the most religious period.
Yeah, like you're supposed to be as pure as you possibly can.
Exactly.
Like, don't eat and drink during the day.
You're pure the whole time of Ramadan. There's no sex during the day. There's nothing that is impure.
Yeah.
Yes, all you do is pray.
Yeah,
and that's when they killed him.
Yeah. And then they sent him to my grandfather, because my grandfather was at the time, maybe his whole life, was really well known in Algeria. He was prisoner of war in the French Indochine, so the French Vietnam.
Wow.
And then when he came back to Algeria, he was one of the main catalysts to lead the Algerian independence against the French. And then so he did that. So he's a warrior.
You have a long
trade.
legacy of warriors.
Yeah, a lot of warriors in my family. And then he was a doctor, right? He was a medic, and then he was a doctor for the rest of his life. And so, but he was really well known in his village. He was really well known in the law, really well respected. So they figured, we killed his son, and we send his son back in a box. We don't care about any of you. So like, follow us, we'll kill all of you. But of course, terrorism never works.
Right.
It creates just, the next generation of, anti-terrorists. terrorism sort of pills like me.
Right.
But also goes the other way. So
Yes.
it's
Both
ways.
Yes.
This is why it's a never ending cycle.
Right.
And my grandfather, I like to think he said this, it's never been confirmed, but he had 11 kids. Mm-hmm. Actually 13 technically, because after my grandma died, he had a couple more, and I think like 6, 7 boys. He's like, I got 5, 6 more.
Yeah.
To go fight you. And so that whole mindset of, it shaped me, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So I understood evil at an early age. I also understood what being poor was like. When I came to the United States and as a 11, 12 years old, we were in a townhome. I mean, I grew up in a tiny apartment my whole life.
Yeah.
I thought a townhome was a mansion.
Yeah.
It had 2 bedrooms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's massive, massive, right?
But it had like a living room where it was and a bigger kitchen, and it was pretty cool. And so I thought like, oh man, we're rich now.
Where'd you grow up in America?
So it was in Palatine, Illinois.
Cool.
Thus all the bears like love and just disastrous bears. And then we moved to Bethesda, Maryland. So we moved to an apartment in Rockville area. And then I lived in my first house when I was 16 years old. So I'm 17. So the last couple of years of my high school.
And your adopted father, what did he do for a living?
So he was he worked for Motorola.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know what else he did, because I'm 95% sure, and I got to work in the clandestine sector after the army.
Yeah.
So I understand that work pretty well. He had to be associated with it.
Right.
He speaks 9 languages.
Yeah.
He traveled all the time. He was gone all the time. I'm talking minimum 6 months out of the year. He was gone.
Typical movie or book you hear about where like, yeah, my dad's gone all the time. He's a salesman for
He's a salesman for Motorola selling solar panel technologies.
Right.
But the stories that I'm trying to get his book written, the problem is that he doesn't want to disclose to this day much. But I found an ID from the Moroccan gendarmerie with his face on it with a different name. And so when I confronted him about that, I said, dude, what, you're a salesman. Like, why do you have an ID? And he said, well, he's like, look at the name. He's like, look, Larry Groberg for them was just too difficult. So they just figured they'd give me this name. And I looked at him, I said, no, this just makes no sense what you're saying. And I was young at the time. I said, this makes sense. And then the stories that I heard from him and from some of his friends, he would deal with the Russians in the 70s through an intermediate runner. In essence, they would go to Paris and he'd be at a restaurant, and then he'd have a runner take a message across the street to another restaurant to the Russians and back, because we were Cold War and things like that.
Yeah.
He was really good friends with Bin Laden's father.
Man,
he golfed with him and stuff.
A lot of strange connections there, right?
He was really good friends with the King Morocco. He spent a lot of time in Morocco. He's been in prison in Rwanda. He's for being called a spy. He didn't stay in prison long. He was only there for maybe 18 hours. He's been shot at in Cameroon. And then this is the kicker. This is the kicker. There's a picture that came out in Antarctica of a CIA base, right? And it came out a couple years ago. It was a story about all the places where potentially we have some covert operations and things like that. I swear on my uncle Abdu, that location that was in that story is a picture that my dad has on his in one of his folders.
No,
I saw that exact picture, and so when I confronted him about that, he's like, "Yes." He's like, "Oh no, I didn't know what they were doing. We did all the solar panels for all the stuff. That's what he sold.
They trusted me. I just
and
built
all the radios.
Yeah.
He's like, I work with all the governments.
He had a really good contract.
Yeah, so he had his got some crazy stories. But the thing about him is he just when he got divorced with his ex-wife. She's actually, I met her.
Yeah.
Because my half sisters are their mom.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, she was really, really cool. So she took half of his money growing up, and so we didn't grow up with a ton of money. And then he lost majority of his money in after the bubble, .com crash in
07?
No, the 2001.
2000. Okay, got it.
His financial guys sold, and he should have never sold. And I don't know what happened, but and so he lost like really a lot, like his entire retirement. And he was old. He's 85 years old, man. Yeah. So right now, so it's funny because he had a little bit of money and then he had no money, and we sold a house and things like that, and he moved to Carolina somewhere cheaper. But that man meant so much to me, and he taught me a lot about what it is, what this country is about.
Yeah.
And he said to me, this is the country where you're gonna come in. It really doesn't matter what your background is. You will have an opportunity to succeed if you work at it. He also said, you have to learn how to fail. And this is what people hear. Here's the key to success, folks, right? Yeah. You can watch all the Instagram videos you want, and people will tell you 1, 3 steps, start an Amazon, whatever, and you'll be rich. The key to success is learning how to fail. The key to success is not being afraid to fail, right? All those people that you see who have made millions of dollars, who are billionaires, whatever it is, some of them, take away the guys that were born into money and gals, they have failed multiple times in their lives.
Yeah.
They have tried things. They've put themselves in uncomfortable positions. They've lived in some shitty places at times. They started in their garages. Look at the Bezos. Look at the Gates, right? Look at those folks, right? All those really, they failed. They were told no. Under Armour, right? Mm-hmm. The owner and founder of Under Armour, he went bankrupt 3 times as a college kid, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, he failed, and his mom invested to give him more money in the 3rd time, and was like, "Let's go. You have a good idea. We just got to put it together." Eventually, he started Under Armour. I had this mentality with me, which is, especially when I was younger, I'm young. I need to fail.
Yeah.
If I have time to recover. I have no real money anyway. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is my time to fail. And so I started with this mentality of, I'm going to work harder than everybody else. I'm going to take chances. I'm going to bet on me. And if I fail, I'm going to learn. I'll know for a fact that I'll hate that feeling, but I'm going to learn where I dropped the ball or what happened. And I'm going to learn from those situations and those experiences. And I'm going to make sure that, if I made a mistake, I'll never repeat the same mistake, but it's going to make me smarter, better, stronger, and all that stuff. And so I did that.
Yeah.
And so people look at me, and French, didn't speak English. I was 12 years old, got adopted, finally moved into a better place. We started getting a little bit of money in our family. So you didn't have no food stamps and stuff that we had earlier on. Then he loses his money again. It's like, what the heck? I go to college, I work 30 hours a week to pay my rent, right? When I, to make, to pay for live, take a loan, right? Mm-hmm. Pay it back through the Army. But the reality is that I always thought, I never knew where I'd end up, but I always thought to myself, I got to work harder than this person.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to end up in the spot that my dad was in when he was, 70, 65 years old.
Oh, that's a big fear of mine, dude.
It's just, right?
So when you say, like, people fail, like, or I risk a lot. I don't give a shit. I
know you do.
So it's like, I was 6 years, almost 7 years as a federal agent, and I left to pursue acting. I didn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And when we moved here, it was the same thing. I'm like, fuck it. Let's just go and set up shop, and I'll find a way. But that's been a big part of, like, why I've been able to be successful in many different areas, because I've been willing to just jump in and say, fuck it, let's go. Like, sink or swim, here we go. And that's what I've done. You know what I mean? And so I think it's hard. I'm going to tell you, this is what I wanted to segue into anyways, this whole conversation is, what's hard about that is teaching your kids that.
Especially when they grow up with a little bit more than you grew up with.
Right. In an environment that isn't conducive to teaching that, right? Yeah. In an environment that is, so like, just for example, like 2 days ago, my daughter's, we set up a little goal, and she's working on her soccer. She's trying to kick the ball up to herself and then kick it while it's in the air. And she tried like 5 times, and she goes, you know what? I just suck. I just can't do this. And I was like, dude, you tried it 5 fucking times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, try that 10,000 times and then say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, and I'm trying to explain to her, like, you guys try everything, and as soon as you're not great at it the first time, you're like, oh, fuck it, I'm just not good at it.
It's not for me.
Drives me fucking nuts, dude, because I'm like, where does that come from? And it's like, I know they don't get this from me because they see me do all kinds of weird shit. Like I want to be a writer. I've fucked this up plenty of times, and now finally wrote a book I'm super proud of. I wrote another book. It's okay. I'm not proud of it, but this one I'm pretty proud of. But also I read it and I'm like, I can do more. I can do better, right?
Yeah.
And so like I'm in this mindset of always getting better. They're in the mindset like I should be the best, or if I'm not, then it's not for me. And that fucking blows my mind, dude. And so like as a dad, and you as a dad, I'm curious if you're ready for that and think about all those things.
No, I mean, I don't think you can ever be truly ready for it. I think you just have to adapt to the situation that you're facing and instill the best lessons you possibly can. But it's actually fascinating you're talking about this. I'll go on Instagram, and a lot of my feeds is motivational, stories and stuff. And I guess, they picks up, the algorithm picks up that I like to sell. And one of them came yesterday, which was about, and now I have tons about kids.
Yeah.
Because I have an 11-month-old.
Right.
Tons about kids. And one of them was about the most important aspect in raising a child isn't really, and this is crazy, isn't really about you as a parent and the environment that you bring inside the house. What's going to influence them more is the culture outside the home. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the neighborhood they grow up in.
Yeah.
It's going to be the school they go to, the church they go to, whatever religion you follow. It's going to be those relationships that they build. And I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with that. And so right now we do live in a world where, all right, I'm not good enough. Someone's better. Let me go do something else.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right? I grew up in France, where I spent 80% of my time outside the house with a bunch of hooligans.
Yeah.
And I got in so many fights in my life growing up. It hardened me, for sure. I'm not advocating for kids to get in fights, but I mean, I know, like, you talk about that culture, right?
Yeah.
And I played, some pretty high level soccer at an early age, but there was always someone better than me.
Yeah.
And instead of wanting to quit, I wanted to work harder than anybody else to find a way to make sure that I got to that level or better.
Yeah.
And then I didn't do it, obviously. Like, with soccer, it didn't happen. But
yeah, it's crazy. Like, so even my son, who's 14, he's a freshman in high school, and he's dealing with like kids are fighting left and right. But he this whole time has been in a private school, right? Most of his life is a private school. He comes here, he goes, Dad, I want to try public school. I'm like, all right, cool, dude. And I say, public school in Texas, homie, you better be ready because you're probably gonna get in a few fights. And he was like, why? I was like, because you fight when you're in high school in a public world. That's what we did. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? Like, men, you like a girl, someone gets jealous, fights, whatever, egos, posturing, whatever it is.
yeah.
And he's in school now, and like girls are fighting, guys are fighting. He's like, there's this big guy. He said he wants to kick my ass. I was like, okay, so what are you gonna do? He's like, I don't know. I've been shadowboxing every night. He says, and I'm like, all right, man. And so we kind of went over like, don't throw a punch unless you have to, right? Kind of thing. But as well as like, you have to realize, you have to make a decision what you're gonna do. Because if you back down, you're gonna always back down to this dude, right? Or
100%.
And so it's this kind of thing. Is like, Dad, I'm like, I want to say, go get your ass kicked, son, but show him that you're willing to fucking get an ass kicking. You know what I mean? Because in my head, it's like, look, if you're scared because he's bigger, you might win, you might not, but it's better to fucking go up there and stand your ground than to just fucking submit.
Yeah.
Right? And I say that, and Mom's like, are you sure? I'm really nervous. Mom don't want her to get hurt, right? But I'm like, I know what this means in our world as men, but as well as it's kind of like the social environment of what you create. When you stand up to someone fighting, it's not only you stood up to him, the whole school knows you're willing to throw down. And you've just changed psychologically the outcome of what everything in the future from that point on, because people can be like, yeah, I won't fuck with him. He was wanting to fight. That's all you need. And trying to get that through his head is so hard because he doesn't get that. Like, they don't get how powerful just one punch, willingness to fucking engage will change the outcome of your whole high school, because people will be like, yeah, no, he'll fight next. You know how bullies are.
Oh, man, I tell you what. I had this, when I was a freshman in high school, and remember, I came in this country in like sixth grade, seventh grade. I didn't speak English. So when I was in ninth grade, my English was finally getting there, but it still wasn't there. So that's another element.
Easy,
and I
that's
was
an easy
small.
One. Right.
Too.
That's an easy one for people to pick on.
Yeah, but I was a good soccer player, but I did judo my entire life.
Oh, there you go.
And so like I knew how to handle myself, but I had this I don't know what I did, but I tried to talk to this girl, and she Asian girl, and then her brother was in a gang.
Oh God.
From my understanding, and he obviously and he was a senior, and he tried to for like 2 weeks. He would chase me down and not with like his people and try to like threaten me and kill me. And one day I just said, well, I'm just going to take my beating.
Yeah.
And so I went up to him and I said, look, dude, like, I don't know how I'll never get so that. I don't know what your issue is with me. Like, I didn't disrespect your sister or anything like that. But if you're out here trying to beat my ass, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about that is that he's just like shooting me away, and come to find out, and this is funny because this is a different aspect of it. I built a network.
Yeah.
I'm a hustler, but I built a network with the African American kids in my school because I thought I was African American till freshman year of college, because my mom's North African.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm African. So anyway, one of the kids that used to give me a ride to school occasionally. Yeah, I told him this, hey, dude, like this guy wants to fight me for some reason. He said, just fight him. He's like, you're lose. He said, just as you said, just fight him. And you'll see he'll never fight with you again. Yeah. And so finally I had courage. I was like, I'm just going to fight him. And I'm going to get my ass absolutely well. I don't care if I'm national champion in judo as a fucking 11-year-old. Like this kid is, he's 6 feet tall. I'm 5'1". Yeah, exactly. He's 180 pounds. I'm literally at the time 105 pounds. Right. Like I might reach his nuts and maybe like get lucky. But so I was like, what happened though is that the kid that gave me a ride, he was a pretty rough kid too. He went up to him and said, you touch this kid, that I will destroy you and everyone in your group. And so they had like this thing. I didn't know about that. So when I went to like fight this guy by myself, like an idiot, like I didn't understand there was a whole backstory of these guys that taking care of me already. But I remember the feeling I had inside which was overcoming fear. Absolutely. At a young age. And it's hard to do at that age, right? Absolutely. You're 13, 14 years old. Like it's really hard because you don't like today, no doubt. Yeah. I know what I'm doing. 13 years old, 14 years old. Yeah. That's my whole world, right? At that point, I'm going to get my ass kicked. Everyone's going to make fun of me. I don't really speak this language. Like, and whatever, just deal with it. And I remember walking away from it, not understanding why this guy didn't want to fight me. He never talked to him again. No issue, right? Never. It just kind of disappeared. Yeah. You forget about it. But I remember internally feeling like, all right, I got this, right? Now, junior year, some other kid was this one, nobody ever fucked with me again in high school. I was walking down the stairs in the stairwell of my school, and then some kid dropped a full can of Coke to hit my buddy James. Yeah. And it hit my head. And then it split my head. And so I ran, and he said something, I don't remember what he said, but it made me realize who did that. So you're just minding your own business. And so immediately I look up and I see this guy, and I sprinted up there, and I grabbed him and I just beat the hell out of him. And I took his head and I smashed it against one of those like payphones. Yeah. And I got almost suspended for that. I should have been suspended for that. But there was sort of like a thought at that point was like, fuck, Flo's crazy. Like, he's not a big dude, but like there's just kids you don't mess with. Yeah. And that's when I realized I had so much anger in my body. Like I didn't, from my uncle dying. Yeah, just and all this stuff. I had so much anger in me. A lot of kids that age do, and they don't even know how to manage it. No, I didn't know. When I was younger, so I have a twin sister, and my father was kind of like, if she comes home and someone fucks with her and you didn't do nothing about it, I'm gonna have that ass. You know what I mean? So like I had the fear of God in me that if I heard, so in elementary, it started in elementary. I remember one boy put like a bee in her lunchbox, and she came crying. I'm looking at her crying. I was like, what happened? She goes, David, whatever, put a bee. I was like, okay. And I found myself, sorry, dude. Boom. And I hit him right in the stomach. Right? He's like, when you're little and you get punched in the stomach, good night. Yeah. So the dude's like, done. All the way to like middle school, this kid named Ryan Morgan. Ryan, you remember this. But she comes down the stairs and she's crying. I'm like, what happened? I said, Ryan Morgan pissed her off for some reason, somehow. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm seeing red because I'm thinking, I'm going home. My dad's going to kick my ass. Fuck this. So I'm looking for him. Where's Ryan? He's at the wall locker. I did the same. I grabbed his face, went boom, right into the fucking wall locker. He's like, what the fuck? Mouth is bleeding. My sister got mad at me. She goes, Vince, why would you do this? Like,
You just said he fucked with you. I fucked with him. I don't have to deal with that. We're good. You know what I mean? It was just this mess. But by the time we got to high school, everyone knew. Like, this dude is going to fight for his sister.
Were you just like stocky too?
I wasn't stocky. I was always a decent sized kid. Wasn't the skinniest in the world, but I was pretty skinny. By the time I got to probably my senior year, I started filling out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. I was like the average sized kid. Became a little taller eventually, you know, than the average kid. But I was an athlete, dude. I got into a couple fights in school, like where I was just really throwing down with dudes. And it was just like, but I grew up having a fight. My dad taught me how to box, made me box.
Yeah.
My kids all wrestle, dude. They know.
Yeah.
They know, like, throw down, dog, if you need to.
I wouldn't mess with your daughter,
Right.
man.
No, bro. My whole thing with raising my kids is when your kids get older, right? When you have more kids or just your one kid, whatever it is.
Yeah, we
You
hopefully
want to
two.
have two.
Yeah.
Good. You'll establish what the policy is as the family, right? And for my family, it's like we defend people that are weaker than us. And it's the same ideologies of us in the military.
At my family.
Yeah. You defend people that are weaker than you. And if you get in a fight for defending your friend because he's getting bullied, I'll never get mad at that shit. I don't give a fuck. You just know you've been trained to do this your whole fucking life. That means use it, right? Like for my kids, use it. My son's been wrestling since he was 4 fucking years old. He competed in the fucking Texas State Championships at 4 years old.
Yeah.
He's been wrestling since he was 4, bro. Boxing loosely, right, with me, hands and stuff, since he was probably 7. The dude has a good fundamental foundation of what it means to get into a fight if he needs to. The best thing you can do for your kids, in my opinion, if you can't, I don't want to do what my dad did to me. My dad made me fight. And he'd like put me in there with even my brother and me, we'd throw down. And he's like, get inside. And you're like, bro, that's my father's 5 years older than me. I'm getting my ass kicked every single time.
Yeah. Fun times.
But he created kind of an anxiety to fighting that even when I started competing in the Army, I used to compete in the Army combative programs. Like, I'd walk up to the ring thinking, like, God, Lord, give me a heart attack. Let me die now, please. Because I didn't want to do it. Anxiety. But I learned how to overcome that anxiety and just show up and like, let's get our ass kicking if we're going to get it, you know?
Yeah.
My kids don't have that so much as I did, I believe, because they've wrestled. And when you wrestle, it's the closest thing to a one-on-one fight you're going to get because you have to. It's you and them, and you're throwing down. The intensity is the same.
Yeah.
The fear is the same. All those thoughts that you have before you get in a fight, you're like, shit, I might get knocked out. You go for it. Same as in wrestling. And so, like, in my house, they all knew. 1, defend your sisters. Like, we uphold that belief system, that chivalry of, like, is not dead.
Yeah.
And you protect the women in our household. But 2, your friend is getting his ass kicked. You better jump in and get your ass kicked with him.
Yeah, you
better.
100%.
And if I told my son the other day. So my son got messed with the other day, and he didn't do nothing about it. So we had a long talk, and it's cool. If he doesn't want to fight, he doesn't have to fight. But I want to talk to him about like, you need to make sure you control that because there's going to be a day where you need to. You know what I mean? And so he got picked on at this one school, but he has a little brother with him. His whole excuse was that I didn't want to get into this fight, and then they hurt Jarek. I'm like, cool, valid argument. I'm good with that. But next time I'd say call one of them out and say, hey, me one-on-one, me and you, let's go. That's what I'd ask them to do next. Because then they'd all be like, oh shit, this guy's down, right? Then they go to the park with their sister, who's 13. She's 13, he's 14. Then you got the 10-year-old. They're all going to the park. I said, I'm gonna tell you something right now, bro. If you don't defend her, I promise you, I will carry your little ass back over there and make you fight somebody.
Yeah.
And he's like, Dad, I said, bro, because you have to understand that is your sister, and we die for our girls.
But she might do it
herself. She might do it herself.
Yeah, she'll handle it. I think to me it's gonna be with Orden. First of all, so going back to your question about today the quitting mindset and the environment, it is also it's an environmental issue, right? I think it's just being the influence of external parties, and so you can only control as much as you can. You got to lead by example to an extent. I think you've done that with your life, and they know that.
Yeah.
But Orden, my son, one thing that I'm doing right now with my wife is he when we work out, he's in the room.
Yeah.
So we don't just put him to sleep and try to work out, right? He's watching, he's playing, he's watching, he's seen, he's running around. You got to pick him up, put him away sometimes, but I want him to grow up with a understanding that you got to be physically ready, you got to be disciplined. It's going to hurt.
You're giving him that culture.
100%. So he's going to go into boxing for sure. As soon as he starts, he can put on some gloves and he's going to go into boxing. We go to the Frisco boxing. Why am I blanking on?
Is it like total? Okay,
title boxing. Title boxing.
Yeah. And those are fun. I love those.
And we have, there's a couple pro fighters, there who coach.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, and so and one of them has a kid who's about 2 months older than Orden.
Yeah, they're gonna be sparring partners,
Well,
dog.
that's what you were talking about. That say, hey, like in real reality, when Orden's about 3-4 years old, like this kid's gonna be a boxer no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he might not like go professional boxing, but he's gonna grow up in a boxing environment, so he's gonna be a stud.
Yeah.
I want Orden to just be in there. Maybe his, maybe he'll be Orden be his punching bag in the end, but but he's gonna grow up there, and then he's gonna do. I did judo, right? That gave me a really good foundation,
great skill.
So he'll do what is wrestling, judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which is everyone. It's like the cute thing to do now. Everyone Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Which is all I love Brazilian
It's
jiu-jitsu.
great, yeah.
It's just everyone wants to be, they watch MMA and they're like, okay, I'm doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Maybe I'll do that. But the whole purpose is that I want Orden to grow up understanding what hard work is about, what commitment is about, what integrity is about. And what do the right thing when no one's watching. Again, integrity is going to have to work hard. But just as just as you said, when he is facing that bully, because I don't think he's going to grow up being a big kid. When he is facing that bully, that he knows he's got a foundation to defend himself. Yeah. Now, whether or not he has the mental fortitude, is something that we have to figure out and work on. Yeah. And I think that's what I had to figure out and work on when I was a kid.
Everyone goes to that. Everyone has to find it.
When I was 13, when I was that kid, I was, I'm half his size. It took me a couple weeks to be like really get the strength and courage to go get my ass kicked. Like, cause I knew I was walking into an ass kicking. Like I wasn't doing no ass kicking. Yeah. Like it was just like, all right. Yeah. It worked out. But these are really specific examples of what I believe got me to be successful in track, got me to be successful in the military. Yeah. Those experiences as a kid, that foundation that we built, those experiences that shaped that foundation allowed me to be more of a warrior potentially than I probably should have been. But still, it's just sports is a key.
I
man.
think it is too. I think so. In our house, you have to play a sport of some sort. One of my sons is 10, who is not into the sports. Well, he wasn't. He just told me he wants to try tackle football again. I was like, "Yo, motherfucker, what's up?" Yeah, but he, he wasn't into tackle football. I coached him in football. I coached him in basketball. I coached him in baseball. I coached him in everything I could to try and get him excited about it. Nothing. He didn't take to anything, and now he's in golf. And I'm like, cool. Something that's going to challenge you, something that's going to put you into a competitive nature, because I think life's competitive, but as well as that's a good sport to have. You know what I mean?
100%.
And so he's doing that. He might go to, but all of them play a sport. They have to. My son the other day, he's going through his growing stuff, and he hasn't been playing much football. He's on the team. He gets a little bit of playing time, and he's like discouraged. I said, "You're going to finish. Like you played the season. When the season's done," I asked the coach Ray. I said, "What is that he needs?" He goes, "He needs to get stronger and faster." Sounds good. He's in I got him in speed lessons right now. Every Monday night, he does speed with his sister. So I'm willing to invest into their sports because I know how valuable it was for me. It kept me out of gangs. It kept me out of trouble, but it taught me competitive nature. It taught me how to lose with grace, right? That's the one thing people don't know how to do is lose with grace. I lose in baseball, like, all right, I deserved it. I wasn't good enough. I didn't do good enough. I didn't do my part. And it's so important to teach our kids that because life is so fucking competitive, dog, that when you don't have a competitive kid and they go to life, they go, life is hard. Yeah, motherfucker, because you're not willing to lose. You're not losing gracefully. You're not losing and saying, okay, take notes what I do wrong. I have my older daughter. She's 20. She's a fucking gangster. Accidentally, she was raised in a fucking wrestling match. She was raised in an MMA gym. She was raised, as a fighter. And now she's taking on life like a fucking gangster. And she says, I'm a little too abrasive. Like, it's okay. You can learn how to fix that.
Yeah, 100%.
But being a female whose willingness to fucking engage with people is valuable as fuck.
I think it's the most important thing you can ever. I'd rather have someone that's a little bit more abrasive, that's a little bit more forward, right? Than someone that's shy and.
I agree, dude.
It's just look at business. So, going back, actually, just one step back. About this country, right? Because we got into this conversation. We went to kids and stuff. I love it. When my dad said, fail, right? Learn how to fail, because this is no matter what your background is. This is the one country where if you work hard, you're going to get an opportunity. You got to seize it. You can't be scared to go after it. And so I took that to heart. And so I kind of look back at my life, and when I was 20, zero chance in the world, not a single chance in the world, I would have told you that, I'd be an executive at Microsoft.
Yeah.
No way. No one would cross my mind because that would have been an impossibility.
Right.
This country makes impossibility realities.
Yeah.
Right. It gives you the opportunity to make those dreams real, but also the ones that you don't think you could ever even be associated with because of your background, your financial background, your cultural background, whatever it is. This country, if you follow the rule book that is non-existent, right? You will have an opportunity to succeed. And
Bro, my mother picked fruit and cotton. I told it to my daughter, I was like, we're not far removed from that.
Yeah.
My mother picked fruit and cotton so they can afford their lifestyle. And I'm on fucking TV.
Yeah.
You know, like, what a fucking fascinating jump that is.
Which, I mean, she did her job. Right? Which is what you want. And what I hope people would want is that when I have kids, that they do bigger and better things than me, and they live a bigger and it keeps going forward, and they take care of their families.
Yeah.
You know, they build the legacy of the family, right? They protect the family. But you know, where I'm at today, I want that kid to be in a better spot.
Yeah, I want to be tenfold better. Go.
Now, and what I'm gonna have to explain to my son, because he's gonna look at me and probably think
it's gonna be a hard one to catch.
he's like, "You're a Medal of Honor recipient, and you're all that stuff." Like, and I'm gonna say, it's not about what the status is, dude.
Right.
It's not about a medal. First of all, I'm a recipient of it. I'm a custodian. It's not mine. It's about the impact that you bring to our communities, to our country, but also to our family. So I'm not asking you to go out there and serve your country and be a war hero, right? Which by the way, I do not consider myself, right? At all. I'm asking you to take the opportunities that we're giving you, work hard, appreciate them, and then make something of them that is bigger and better than you ever potentially thought. And then teach your kids to do the same.
Right.
Keep step by step. Because what I'm going to explain to them too, I'm going to say 6, 8, 9 generations from now, I'm going to be a line in the book of Groberg's. You're going to be more important than I was, because I'm going to be great-great-grandfather, right? Oh, my great-great-grandfather was a Medal of Honor recipient, blah, blah. No one's going to give a shit what I actually did.
Yeah.
They're not even, because they're going to be proud maybe of their history, but that's not going to impact their lives, right? So what's going to impact them is going to be what their mom and dad are doing, what their grandparents potentially did, right?
Right.
So like no matter what I do in my life, I only have this tiny little window to make the impact that's going to hopefully is going to generate, multi-generational, logic to what we consider winning.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm going to have to teach him. He's going to teach his kids. And then his kids are going to teach their kids. And eventually I'm out of the picture completely. I'll be in books talking about like an action. But that's it. And someone taught me that. And it really impacted me. It said, Fro, not that I ever considered that. It's like, none of us are immortal. All of us are forgotten at a certain point.
Yeah.
It's like you might come up in a history lesson one day.
You might be in a few books, yeah.
But that's it. Yeah. That's about it. But 150 years from now, there's hundreds of thousands of stories.
Yeah.
Just like yours. You're maybe not as a recipient, but like different important things.
Right.
And so we don't exist anymore to the extent. So he said, focus on what you can do today to impact your environment and provide your kids with the ability to do the same when the time comes. And I thought, good, because I don't care about Flo's legacy. I don't.
Yeah.
I believe in my family's legacy.
Good.
So as I'm a piece of that. Carson's a piece of that. Oren's a piece of that. My cousins are a piece of that. And so it grounds you, man. It's super fascinating.
Yeah. The whole thing with like TV and all that I don't give a fuck about any of it. Like I don't care about fame. I don't care about notoriety. All I want to do is be able to have enough money to spend time with my kids, to raise them to hopefully be good people, good acting citizens in America, to be proud of this country and to invest back into it. But as well as like, turn around and come back and spend time with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said on that, like the John Burt, that podcast I did with him, was like having a full table on the Thanksgiving dinner is like the best blessing, or having all my kids in the same room, in the same house. And
100%.
like, that's all I want. I want to be able to raise these kids to the point where they still like my time and my presence, and have enough money for me and my wife to just enjoy that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. I don't give a fuck about the millions. I see guys with like these fancy cars and these fancy, like, I could do that. I don't want to. It has no value to me. Like, the value in my life genuinely is trying to stay healthy enough to enjoy my little ones, and to be able to be there for all of them as they go through their life, and be able to kind of like, Dad, I'm going through a hard time. All right, cool. I've done that. Let me help. Let me tell you what I would do.
That's the look. Money can buy you the cars, the houses, the mansions, the experiences, which are cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some experiences are awesome, you know, but what the real successful millionaires, right, or wealthy people, they do what you talk about, which is they utilize their money for time with their family. They utilize their money for generational growth for their families. Here's one that's very dear to me. My father-in-law. My father-in-law went into Express Scripts in the 90s, and there was probably at the time, let's say 50 employees, maybe 80. So he's in the first 100. He went into his job. He left a couple years ago as a chief marketing officer for Express Scripts after they did a $29.1 billion merger with Medco. So he was the top dog executive guy, one of the top dogs. He made, I don't know how much money he has.
Right.
I just know that he spent a hell of a lot on our wedding.
Yeah.
So, and a lot more, I was, he loved his daughter.
Yeah.
It's just, ain't one about me. She got what she wanted. I was a beneficiary of that
you
one.
made her happy, so that's all I counted, right? That's how that goes.
And I look at him and Lisa, his wife, and I am so inspired, because I don't know how much money they have. I don't really give a shit. I know it's good enough that they can do whatever they want in life,
right,
for the rest of their life. But he uses his money in a way, they use their money in a way where priority is health and education.
Beautiful.
So their kids, when they gave him money, it was for health and education. So I know that when whatever he leaves, they leave for us and our family, is going to have with the stipulation of health and education.
Yeah, and it should be.
And right now, the most important time of the year for him and Lisa is Thanksgiving. We're always in St. Louis. There is nothing more important than having a whole family at that dinner table that weekend. Larry cooking, doing his thing. He's damn good.
That's
and all
crazy.
of us spend time together. And that is to him, that's the Ferrari, right?
Yes.
To some other people. To him, that's the G5 jet, right?
Yeah.
He's got enough money that he could buy himself whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But he's got the Audi that's, $65,000, right? Which is about the average cost of a car now.
Right.
They don't, they've been in the same home for the last 20 years.
They're comfortable.
They're very comfortable, but they use their money for experiences with the family.
Yeah.
And to take care of their family. They use it for our house in Maine, where we spend the summers at.
I want to read his book, because that's what I want. That's what I strive for, dude. If like film and television is an art form for me too, as a form of expression, and it makes me feel good. I enjoy it. That's my passion, is being able to do that.
It's art, man. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It makes me feel like alive, right? But if I could find a way to make the kind of money where I don't have to do it, I do it because I continue to enjoy it, but as well as be able to fly everyone in for Thanksgiving and have, bro, that's life for me, dog. That's life for me. And it's cool that you're seeing that. Cool that you're saying, like, I don't think my parents created that for me, but as well as they did do that. Like, we used to do family reunions like every year.
Yeah.
And like, my parents are the ones who did it. They're like, hey, everyone's coming to our house. We're doing this. And me and my twin sister, we just talked on the phone the other day. We're like, all right, let's start doing it for our family.
Yeah.
Like, we need to keep that up, because it's super valuable. And really, what my sister said, like, really stuck when she goes, remember our cousins who like would annoy the fuck out of us and we couldn't stand them? And then she goes, but those are the only memories that stick. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah. That's
it's
the
just-
beauty of it, is like all the weird shit, the annoying shit, all the that's the stuff that sticks.
It's just I love that. I mean, that to me is because that's true wealth.
Yeah.
I'm the same mindset as you, where I mean, look, I'm wearing a Beyond shirt, which by the way, great company.
Great
Still-
company.
they're
I love
still
Beyond.
around, and a hat, right? I mean, I got money now. I got plenty of money, and I just don't spend it on what some my friends probably would spend it on, because those my experiences watching my dad when I got up in the morning. I'll never forget this. This is why I'm super cognizant of how I act in front of my kid.
Yeah.
I understand like now he won't have memories for he
Right.
won't remember being a year old, but I'm gonna make sure I don't fuck that up when he's 5, 6, 7. Cause I still remember things when we're 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
But I will never forget in 2001, when I woke up in the morning to go to school. I was a senior, and it was 7 a.m. and my dad was drinking on the couch whiskey.
7 a.m.
7 a.m. And I looked at him and I said, "What's up, dude? Like, Jesus, like all-nighter?" And he didn't respond. And this is when he had lost all his money.
Right.
Like, I mean, half his savings. And looking at him now and what he's had to endure over the last 22 years, right? The lifestyle that they have today versus what they should have today.
Right.
The things, how I help and I
Right.
have to send money and things like that now,
Right.
right? That morning, which is an insignificant day in my life, technically.
Out of all the mornings, that's just
All the morning, that
yeah.
image has guided me without telling me how or why. It has changed my subconscious to make sure my son never wakes up with me at 7 a.m. drinking whiskey because I just lost half my family wealth overnight because of a mistake that I made of trusting someone else, right? In that case, or maybe whatever the mistake is. So if you ask my wife, I have a spreadsheet that I touch every single night of every dollar that we have, and so I look at the market and I'm like, okay, this is where we're at today. It's a little psychotic, but I save 70 to 80% of my money after taxes and bills, right? And I put it in
Some kind of investment, some
real
kind of
estate,
something, right?
market, whatever it is, money market, CDs. And I was thinking about this the other day. The majority of that money, I'll never touch it because I have enough money and I have a bucket of money for like our day-to-day expenses and stuff. So, but I save. So I live my life with a quarter. I judge the way we operate as a family off a quarter of my money that I make.
Damn, that's great.
75% of it is going towards some type of investment. And the goal is I have never to this day, I'm 40 years old, I have never to this day sold a single share of stock that I own to buy something that I needed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know friends who've done that. So you want to put a down payment on a house.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah.
And it's great. It makes sense. And that's what it's for. I've
Exactly.
never sold a share of stock to buy something that I needed.
Instead, you've just saved the money and bought it.
The only time I sell stock is to, what is it? What does my financial guy say? To not recalibrate or restructure. It's he's Rich gonna kill me. It's to make sure that my portfolio is balanced, right?
Yeah.
So we do this like every year, every 2 years. He's kind of he does that stuff.
Yeah.
And the goal, I have this new goal. I came up with this about 2 years ago. Is if I can live my life without ever selling a share of stock, that means that all that money that I'm making, it's not for me, it's for my family.
For your kids, for your family.
And so I'm creating that generational wealth, that's going to dictate the next, 3, 4, 5 generations.
Yeah.
And that is a gift. There's no way I would have ever had the opportunity to do this in France. No way. Look at the unemployment numbers of this.
Yeah.
Usually in the 20%. It's just very different lifestyle. And so to me, that's just absolutely fascinating, right? How I look at my money.
Yeah.
And, and I grade myself on like, shit, when the market crashed in 2020, it went down like for a little while, like 30%.
Yeah.
I was hard. I couldn't sleep. And my wife looked at me and she said, why are you so frustrated? You're 37 years old, 36 years old. You literally, I've never touched these stocks and we have plenty of money to pay our bills. We're lucky. Like we're blessed.
You're in a good place.
Right. And you're just worried about a number that it doesn't impact you right now. She said, and she's not even financial. She's like, Flo, it's going to go back up eventually, right? And I'm like, God, stop having good logic. I'm obsessed with this. And that's because of that morning. It changed my life. That I will never be on that. You and my son or grandkids will never see me on that couch with a whiskey at 7 a.m. because of I don't know how I'm going to pay bills.
You made a financial mistake, yeah.
I might make financial mistakes in the future, but sure as hell won't impact the way we live our lives.
Yeah.
Or our future. But so it taught me this really grave lesson of be very careful how you project yourself to your kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what you potentially perceive as a one bad night, one bad morning could have a ripple effect in your kid's life and really change a part of the foundation. It added a whole new element, chromosome, whatever, into it.
Oh, I know, man.
It's crazy.
I know. Kids, it's the scariest journey that any of us will ever take, and it's the journey that has no real hard evidence of this works or this works or this works. It is every kid. If for some reason you had something preoccupied in your mind, you might have missed that, and you didn't. And it's this weird thing that even my daughter goes like, Dad, you said this one time to me and it really affected me. I'm like, babe, I don't even remember saying that. And which fucking like, damn, whatever I said affected her in a way where she still holds on to.
Yeah.
I've had to say sorry. I say, look, I was a drunk. That's why I'm sober now. Like, I was a drunk and just like, I was very careless about how I said things and didn't think about, I know I thought about impacts, but like, you just don't know what they stick with. You know what I mean? And like, I think I'll forever be like, oh man, I hope I did good. You know what I mean? We're always going to do that. And you just never know what it is that they're going to hold on to, and it'd be either the motivation or the one thing that breaks them.
Yeah. Well, I kiss my kid more than I think anyone kisses their kids. So I think. I'm as present as I can be. Still need to be better. These phones, man, like they're evil because like you don't even realize it. I'm playing with him, and I hear noise, and I'm boom back on my phone, and I don't know how that's going to impact him or not. But this is the world that we live in to an extent. Yeah. But he's going to grow up knowing there's one thing he'll never feel. He's never going to feel that he wasn't loved. Yeah. And good. But I feel bad for him too. Like I feel bad that I'm his dad because he's gonna grow up working. Like my dad put me to work when I was came in this country.
My kids.
Yeah.
I know.
He's gonna see friends. He's gonna look at me and say, "Well, we have enough money to do this." Like I was like, "Nah, dude, you gotta go earn it." Mm-hmm. Like you just gotta go earn it because that's what I did.
I think it's important. Having those kind of foundations and to make sure you're holding those. Because it's like I'm not easy on my boys. I'm not hard as I was probably to my oldest, but I'm not as easy as people would probably say because I'm like, no, you're men. You're gonna have to endure a lot, and I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna teach you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. My son wanted to quit football. No. You're going to sit there and you're going to sit on the sidelines and you're going to try and earn a spot. And if you don't, it's because we're not working hard enough. And what do we have to do? Work harder. You know what I mean? I hug him. I love him. I give him all the affection that I never had as a son to a father. I did bridge that gap at least.
Yeah.
But I'm still very hard on the reality of like, here's the facts. Like we got to own our shit. If you're not good enough, that's why you're not playing. No one has anything against you.
Yeah.
High school, they just want to win and you're not the player that they're picking right now. So what do we need to fucking do? And that's just the hard truth. And I think sometimes my wife's like, oh man, that's a little harsh. Like, is it to tell them the truth? Because I'm the only motherfucker that wants him to be successful in this world. I'm the only guy guaranteed that want him to be better than me. So I'm going to be honest because I think everyone will sugarcoat him his whole life. And I'm like, no, bro, you're not good enough.
Well, you tell him my football career lasted two plays. I wanted to play football and my mom thought that was the dumbest idea. in the history of the world. But she let me. And it was a punt return and kick return. And I realized like, this is not, the football coach. So
I'm good.
I went to high school in Bethesda, Maryland. And next to us, our school and right next is a grocery store it's called Giants, like a Safeway, whatever. And when people, I'll never forget this. I went to the gym. I went to work out to lift with the team. And the coach said to me, I need you. He gave me $5. Literally, I'll never get this. He gave me $5. He says, I need you to walk to Giant and get as many donuts as you can buy for $5 and come back. So I went to Giant. I came back with donuts, glazed donuts. He told me to sit down. He's like, eat the donuts. And he made me eat the donuts.
Because you were too small?
I was so skinny and tiny. And he wanted to fat me up. Look, I appreciate now in retrospect, I appreciate the thought. Terrible way of doing it.
Yeah.
Like, eat donuts, right?
Doesn't make sense. Yeah.